Process excellence pays off. That's the title of my talk, and it's also a universally valid truth. And today I'm going to tell you how specifically it pays off if you are the vendor to the world's largest online marketplace. Now, we all know which marketplace we are talking about, right? The best one, the biggest one, the most amazing one, the American giant. I will call them on the marketplace going forward. And I will tell you specifically how it pays off if you are being the vendor. That means you are selling the goods directly to the marketplace. The marketplace is your customer. That's different from being a seller when you are using their services to sell goods to your end customers. So we are talking vendors here. Now, being the vendor is tremendous opportunity. The revenue potential is astounding. But it is also challenging. You have to be ready to comply with quite complex, complicated processes and requirements that the marketplace imposes on you. And it is quite natural that they do, because with the tremendous amounts of goods coming through their shelves, it would not be manageable otherwise. And if you are not ready to comply with the processes, then be ready to lose significant portion of your revenue to deductions and chargebacks. Now, deduction is when the marketplace pays you less than you invoiced. For example, they think you charge them too high a price, or you didn't deliver enough goods. And the chargeback, that is a specific type of deduction. It's a penalty that the marketplace imposes on you for not being compliant with their process. It's their way of enforcing the process excellence, and they are very serious about that. They recognize 24 types of chargebacks. That means they punish 24 types of process offenses, process crimes. Now think about how many type of offense types you can get fined for if you are driving your car. It's probably less than that, right? Now, let me put it into perspective. We've been supporting the supply chain for a number of clients who are vendors to this marketplace. And when we did the retrospective transaction audit for them at some stage, we always discovered good number of deductions for which we were still able to get the money reimbursed from the marketplace. We are able to recover them just by doing the reconciliation and providing the information and documentation that the marketplace required. And these recovered charges for the deeds that were already done were on average worth 1.5% of the client's yearly revenue with the marketplace. Now, 1.5%, think about how much it is for you. It can be tens of thousands, it can be hundreds of thousands, it can be even millions for the big ones. But this is only a portion, small portion of what can be saved going forward. If you fix your processes now, and you prevent the deductions and chargebacks from happening in the first place going forward. But hold on, you may think, this guy is from Sony. They do cameras and consoles and TVs and music equipment. If you don't know what the last picture is, ask your parents, they will tell you. Sweet childhood memories. So, hold on, he's from Sony. What clients does he talk about? Let me explain. We are Sony DADC. We are indeed part of Sony family, part of Sony Corporation, but we stand behind one very special product. And if you are over 30 years old, then I bet that at some stage of your life, you had dozens, if not hundreds, of our products coming from our factories at your homes without even knowing it. It's optical media. For over 40 years, we have been pressing the emotions captured in the music and movies and computer games into these little polycarbonate discs. And we've been doing that for some of the biggest companies in the entertainment industry. And they liked how we did it, so they asked us, you know what, if you manufacture them and finish them, why don't you also ship them for us to the retail? So we built the distribution centers, and we started doing the pick, pack, ship and delivering the media to the retail stores and retail chains, big and small, everywhere around Europe, everywhere around the world, in fact. And the clients liked that, and they told us, you know what, if you manufacture them and pick, pack, ship them, why don't you also collect the purchase orders? So we built the multilingual customer service centers, and we started collecting the purchase orders from the retail stores and retail chains over phone, email, EDI, over fax. Believe it or not, we still have a fax number available for our German customers. And we did it very well, because that's what we do. We are Sony, right? We do things very well. So they told us, why don't you do it all for us? So we learned the credit and cash collections and master data, and we started supplying or providing the supply chain services inside and outside of the entertainment industry. And many of our clients have been vendors to this biggest online marketplace. And for many of them, it was even their biggest customer. But despite the tremendous revenues that we're making there was still a sense of frustration from not being able to maximize the profits because of the deductions and chargebacks. So we rolled up our sleeves and we started uncovering the secrets. And today, I'm here to share with you a few lessons that we learned with our clients the hard way, the costly way. Now, it is not my ambition to explain the whole process or give you the silver bullet. You do this and you do that, and the deductions will disappear. That would not be possible. Even if we were here the whole expo, it wouldn't be possible. My ambition for today is to raise your awareness and bring up your curiosity. So if at the end of the session you are thinking, wow, that's complex, like, is something like this happening to us too? Maybe we should better check. Then I did my job well. And let me start with the lessons at the very beginning of the process with the master data. Now, preferred way of communicating between this marketplace and its vendors is EDI, electronic data interchange. And there is one message which is called stock and inventory feed. It's basically a report that goes out every night. It's a list of all your articles available for purchasing, their quantities, and their prices. If you need to change the price, drop it for the advertisement campaign, for example, Black Friday. You send a lower price, it gets updated, you are getting the orders at a lower price. If you need to put it back up, again, you send higher price. It's very simple, very efficient. What could possibly go wrong, right? So imagine the surprise of our client when they received the first payment for the first orders made after the campaign has finished for the supposedly higher price. It was 2 months later because they have 2 months payment terms. And they learned that they were going to get still only 50% lower campaign price. But not only for this one order, for every order made in the last 2 months since the campaign has finished. Imagine that you are selling for 2 months for 50%. Imagine that in your revenue. Now, how can this happen? Our client didn't know, neither did we at the time, that the marketplace actually has automated price change check at their side. So if you lower your price from 20 euro to 10 for the marketing campaign, advertising campaign for Black Friday, let's say, it goes through okay. But later on, when you want to raise it back to the original price from 10 to 20, that's 100% increase. That's quite some increase, right? So the automated check kicks in, and based on how your thresholds are set, it will quite likely be rejected. But you will not get any notification. So every night you send your file with your price, every night it gets rejected, every day you are getting the orders at the price you didn't want. So what can you do with this? Well, first of all, the thresholds are different for every vendor. So contact your vendor manager and learn if they apply to you, learn what they are, and learn what to do if you need to exceed them. And learn to check the prices in the system after big amendments. Now, one bonus point, it also happens that if you drop your price, the marketplace automatically issues an agreement stipulating that the new lower price will also be valid for the goods they already have on stock. from before the price change. And if you don't want that, you need to proactively go and reject that agreement, otherwise it will become valid, and you are facing yet another dent in your revenue. Now, it may seem harsh that there is no notification on the price change rejection, but in fact it is not harsh, because there is a control mechanism in place, and you are supposed to be aware of that. And that brings us to our second lesson, which is order confirmations. The purchase order comes with a price, but it's easy not to notice that the price is not what you expected, as you have just learned, if you have the automated EDI process in place. The orders are coming automatically, you automatically confirm them, you send out a confirmation, and that actually creates a legally binding agreement. There is no way out of that. And it's all fair and square, because this is all described in the vendor manual, which you were supposed to get familiar with. But the vendor manuals for all the processes combined have hundreds of pages. And who has time to read such manuals today, right? Well, we do. It is our superpower. But the purchase order, the price on the purchase order is not the only thing on purchase order you need to pay attention to. There is also quantities which you need to confirm, those that you can deliver, and reject those that you cannot, with a soft rejection code that you are temporarily unavailable, and hard rejection codes, those that are long-term unavailable. There is whole complexity about these rejections that we don't have time to go into. And there's a delivery window that you need to confirm. Now, delivery window, that's a few days within which you are supposed to bring in your order. It's calculated automatically in the marketplace, and if you don't hit it, you are going to get charged penalties. Now, it was happening to our client that 25% of their purchase orders from the marketplace were coming with completely unrealistic delivery windows. Their process was too long, and the fulfillment center was too far to meet them. But again, as it was confirmed automatically, they didn't notice, and it cost them quite some money on penalties before they realized and renegotiated the parameters. So what should you do? Don't be afraid to reject the orders for which you can't fulfill all the parameters. Pay attention to the parameters and reject them if you can't meet them. That's far superior to actually confirming something you can't manage in a fear that you would lose the business otherwise. The order rejection, that's not a failure. That's a legitimate step in the process that you are given. And you don't have to be worried that you are losing that business, because there is automated reordering system at the marketplace's side. So the order will come again, but you have the time to put your house in order in the meantime. You can fix your price, you can restock, you can renegotiate the delivery window parameters. So remember, order confirmation is like a promise. So just like in your real life, make only promises that you can and intend to keep. Now, while we are on the topic of orders, there is another way which is obvious but very often neglected, how you can save quite some money. And it's order consolidation. It is very common that the marketplace sends you several orders for the same fulfillment center within a short period of time, few days or even on the same day. And if you process all these orders separately processing to warehouse, separately planning, packing, labeling, documenting, let alone shipping, that will cost you quite some extras. But actually, the marketplace gives you the opportunity to consolidate these and treat them as one transaction only. As long as these transactions, these orders have overlap in their delivery windows, and you can meet this overlap, and they are for the same fulfillment center. Now, this works especially well with the PIX model, which is arrangement when you can, under certain conditions, agree with the marketplace that you will be delivering only to one of their fulfillment centers, and they will redistribute to the others farther. So one of our clients have this combination, the PIX model and order consolidation, and they are consolidating, on average, 8 orders to 1. Now, 8 to 1, that's quite some savings. So let's say that you did confirm the order correctly, consolidated, you picked everything, packed it, prepared for transport, and by the way, just the manual for packing the goods and preparing them for transport has 150 pages plus appendices. But you got it on the truck and you get it over to the fulfillment center. There is a number of ways how you can bleed money on transport. And it's not just the cost of carrier, and it's not just the chargebacks. If you don't get things right, it may easily happen to you that your truck that have just made it across half the Europe to the fulfillment center will be turned around on the spot and sent back without mercy, and what's worse, without being unloaded. We have seen this a number of times. The pallets were loaded widthwise instead of lengthwise. Not allowed. The truck was sent away. There were security bars installed in the trailer in common but different than prescribed way. The truck was sent away. Just one of the pallets was one-way pallet on the truck. The rest was Euro pallets, but the complete delivery was sent away. Now this is my favorite one. The driver who just came to the fulfillment center stepped out of the truck just to throw out the garbage. And he didn't have his safety shoes and reflective vest on. No mercy. You know what happened, right? And the same may happen if you come outside of your delivery slot. Before, I talked about the delivery window. That's few days within which you are supposed to bring the order. But then you have the delivery slot, which is exact time within that window that you need to book and then hit. And if you don't hit it, the least that can happen is that you will get fined with the chargeback, but you can also very well get sent away without being unloaded. What can you do? Well, don't repeat the mistake of our client who wanted to save on transport and they hired a cheaper carrier. And within few months, they accumulated 200,000 on chargebacks, 200,000 euro on chargebacks. And I'm not counting in the cost of refused deliveries and lost business, just because the carrier was not familiar with the process. So instead, work with the carriers who know the process deeply, who follow it meticulously, who know how to behave in the fulfillment center, who know how to book the delivery slot, how to monitor that it didn't change, because the marketplace can change it for you, and how to hit it. There are even carriers who have fixed delivery slots agreed with the fulfillment center. That's a huge advantage, especially in the peak times. Because in the peak time, it can easily happen to you that you get a purchase order with the delivery window, but there is no delivery slot available in that window. Now, how are you supposed to deliver, right? Well, if you have the carrier with the fixed slot, then the problem is solved. Recently, we even made an agreement with the carrier that if they do, after all, get turned around and sent away, they would unload in their nearest hub and repeat only the last mile delivery, not having to go across the Europe back and forth with the long haul. But let's say that you got the order, consolidated, picked, packed, loaded to the transport correctly. The pallets are lengthwise. There are no security bars. Yeah? It's all Euro pallets. You come in the exact prescribed time, and your carrier has the safety vest, safety shoes, and reflective vest. And you manage to get the goods off the truck through inbound. Victory, right? Maybe not yet. The amount of goods coming through the inbound is tremendous. It is unimaginable. And due to the sheer volumes, the mistakes are bound to happen. Despite all the processes, despite all the automation, that is just the statistics. So what happened to our client just last fall was that they get 3 purchase orders for the same article around the same time. On each purchase order, there were 1,000 pieces of this article, each of them worth 50 euros. So altogether, you have 3 purchase orders worth 150,000 euro. What happened was that due to some mistake, and God knows if it was a human error or system error, or maybe the labels got corrupted, but almost entire content of those 3 orders got booked again just 1 purchase order. So all of a sudden, you have 100,000 euro over delivery on 1 purchase order and 50,000 euro shortages onto other orders. So just like this, you are 100,000 down because you are not going to get paid for the shortage, obviously, for the under delivery, but the marketplace will not pay you for the over delivery either unless you specifically invoice for it. But they can keep the goods. So what can you do? Well, you are given quite strong tools in the Vendor Central. It's the marketplace's tool for managing the account. And you better use them. And you learn to use them effectively. They give you really detailed overview of all the orders, all the steps, including the inbound and including the sellout. It takes extra effort, but it pays off. Few minutes of checks can save you hundreds of thousands. Now, it all meets in your bank account, or I should say in your account receivables department. And your account receivables department gets actually a very important report. It's called Remittance Advice. It contains all the open transactions, the invoices, chargebacks, deductions, debit notes, credit notes, you name it. And it explains how it all fits together. And it's extremely important that your people in finance know what it means and how to use it. Again, let me demonstrate. It is common that the marketplace deducts portion of the money from the payment to you as a provision for future deductions. It's a deduction for future deductions. They don't know what the future deductions are going to be exactly, but they know that they are expecting, say, big returns. Or maybe your delivery performance is poor and they expect deductions and chargebacks. Or maybe there is a volume rebate coming up. And it can also signify some serious issues in the process. But the problem is, the difficulty, the danger is that the transaction, this deduction, gets repaid with every payment and re-deducted again, which means in your accounting book, it will be constantly getting a new date, new transaction date. And the finance folks among you, especially if they are from cash collections, will probably agree with me that it's very easy to miss some transaction if it's very fresh and it's from a very reliable customer, because you pay attention to the receivables that are overdue months, 2 months, or are from lousy payers. This is not the case. The transaction always has a fresh date. It will never get older than the latest payment. And exactly this was happening to our client. So for years, they were ignoring this growing deduction for future deductions, the provision. And it accumulated to the value of 650,000 euro. Only then they noticed and they started uncovering the underlying issues and resolving, and there were underlying issues. Now our other client, they took it to yet another level. They made the ultimate process efficiency. They decided to ignore the remittance advice altogether. And they were just always taking the latest payment and used it to close the oldest invoices. It was super efficient because while it takes hours or even days to process remittance advice, they were done in minutes. And there were never ever any old transactions on the account, any unpaid invoices, it was closed. But obviously, they completely lost the visibility on what is going on in the account. And it all exploded when they wanted to close the account, and instead of getting the last payment, which they expected from the marketplace, they got from them a request for a refund in the value of 2 million euro. Now imagine being the CFO there, right? 2 million. It took us over 6 months to reverse all the transactions, reconcile everything, explain the discrepancies, book it again as per the instructions from the marketplace, and avoid the refund and avoid the CFO's heart attack. Now, what to say in the end? I hope I didn't scare you too much. It's all doable. It's manageable. If you get it right, you can even get a Golden Palette Award from the marketplace for the excellent processes, as we did. And not only you will save tremendous amounts of money on the deductions and chargebacks every year in the future, you will also put much less strain on your staff. We have managed to decrease the staff in the AR department on this account by 2/3 for one of our clients, just by having clean ledger and clear process. But you have to understand the processes. You have to be vigilant. You have to be on top of things and follow up at all times. And if you don't have time to do that, if you don't have the knowledge to do that, or if you don't have the will to do that, then team up with someone who does, because it will pay back fast, I promise. And I hope I didn't disappoint you too much, because this expo, it's packed with fascinating sessions. And half of them is about how artificial intelligence is changing your lives. And second half is about how you can grow your business using latest technologies and trends. And I only told you that you should read a manual, right? But you know what? Maybe do spend your time learning about AI and growing your business with the latest technologies and trends, and let someone who did read the manual support it supply chain for you. Well, that's all that we have time for, but we are here at the booth A1.1. Come over and tell us about your experiences with the marketplace, the challenges that you have faced, and your lessons learned, and how you solve them. We'll be happy to talk. And our finance operations manager may not like me for saying this, but I'm sure if you pop over, we can agree on some free high-level transaction audit that would indicate the health of your processes. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you at the booth A1.1.
Thank you. That was a fascinating talk. You raised that there's lots of problems. There's a big, complex, there's so many problems to solve. In the next 12 months, is there a specific problem you think AI will solve in that whole supply chain?
You mean it is this particular problem with this marketplace?
Yes, exactly. In your personal opinion.
It's hard to say for me, really. I mean, we do encourage people to use AI, of course, to get themselves educated and resolve the issues. But in these particular ones, I can rather imagine them being, getting more aware of how the process works and being really compliant with the process. I will be happy to be surprised. In this particular case, I don't think so.